This podcast would not be possible without my wonderful friends, my wonderful supporters from my Patreon page. For as little as $1 a month, you can support the podcast. What you get is the satisfaction of knowing you're helping me spread the joy and happiness of music to everyone. You also get early access to episodes without ads. I often post unedited episodes where you get to hear the mistakes and the discussions that I end up cutting out of the podcast. So I want to thank the following patrons for their love and support: Paul Appleton, Amy Brooks, David Kotsis, C.K. Westbrook, Sean Poole, David and Jennifer Von Ebers, Jeff Omer, Sylvan Groth, Liz Bronson, Yetta, Steve Hansack, John Munson, Betsy Hodges, Levi Petrie, Elizabeth Brunson, Stephen Malio, Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, Dale Hozek, Terry Smith, Chris Bloom, and Mary Thomas. I just appreciate you guys so much and thank you for the support. Now, on to the podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Setlisting Bruce, your podcast all about Bruce Springsteen, his music, and mostly his fans. I am your host, Jesse Jackson. Joining me again is Andy. So, we're going to talk a little basketball. The Mavericks received a gift from the basketball gods, didn't they?
I'm glad to hear you say that because some people in Dallas are not looking at it that way, but the trade was made. I've always liked Anthony Davis and his game. And
Yeah,
I think, look, there was a void there at the center position in Dallas for a while. So
yeah,
hopefully Kyrie gets healthy and some of your young guys step up. And Clay Thompson is literally one of my top five greatest favorite guys in the world and one of the top
yeah.
10 players. I think it's going to be interesting when everything gels together for sure.
And this guy from Duke sounds like he might have a little something.
Oh, so that's the gift. I thought you were talking about the Luca AD trade.
No,
That was definitely a it's early out here, Jesse. My
yes, it
brain is
is. Uh,
um you're right. It was a gift from some divine intervention.
yeah,
And the Dallas fan base, the team, everybody needed a shot in the arm after the shock of the trade.
yeah,
And this kid, Cooper Flag, looks like the real deal to me. I never saw him play live, but of course I've seen highlights and
yeah.
everything else. I'm hopeful that I can get to see him live at NBA Summer League.
Oh, that'll be good.
Yeah, coming up next month. And then, God willing, maybe I'll be able to get him on my podcast for a few minutes, which would be really wonderful.
Oh,
So,
yeah, that would be. There is a small percentage of fans that are still angry that, Nico is getting this get out of jail free card by winning this lottery. But I think that is literally cutting your nose off to spite your face.
yeah,
I miss Luca just as much as anyone, and I hope he has an amazing career as a Laker and move forward because there's nothing else I can do about this trade.
yeah.
But I think it's going to be interesting, and I love all the speculation about how it's rigged. And Bob Stern, which I think you and I have talked about before, one of the local Dallas sports writers and host, talked about all the things that would have had to been coordinated to make this happen.
Yeah.
Is just crazy. Anyway, thanks
Well,
as always. Go ahead.
yeah, for sure. Look, it's a bunch of ping pong balls. So how you rig that, but it went Dallas's way. I think it's great for the team. It's great for the city, and I think it's great for the league too. Honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. Yes, we jumped right in the middle of it. Andy, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself and then we'll talk about Bruce.
It's first of all, it's so great to be back on your show, Jesse, and I applaud you as I did last time for doing this show. First of all, for thinking it up and having the wherewithal and the desire, the passion to do a Bruce Springsteen podcast that is really the voice of the fans. And I know it's not easy because I do a podcast every week myself, and it's a heavy lift. But when we're passionate about the subject matter, that really helps. And you and I connected, I don't know, a while ago over social media. I was following you, of course, and then essentially begged you to let me be on your show. I did. I will
I
candy
think it was
keep it.
the other way around, but
No,
thank
no, it was. I said I want to tell my story, and like any honorable Bruce fan, I had my own story. It goes back to 1978 was my first Bruce show at the Springfield Civic Center, Springfield, Massachusetts. I was in the literally the last row. We had bought tickets, I think, for $12, maybe. I don't even know if it was 12. It might have been 10. My friends and I, because I was going to University of Massachusetts. I snuck a camera in. Camera was taped to my left leg. Lens was taped to my right leg. I had film like down the front of my pants. They weren't doing metal detectors in those days, but they would pat you down if you looked a little questionable. And I got through and I took one of the still to this day, one of the most, I guess myself considering iconic Bruce photos I ever shot was at that show, which I actually got to show him I think a zillion years later when I got to meet him after one of his Broadway shows. And anyway, it
I
just became a
sorry to
lifelong.
interrupt you.
Yeah,
Did you share me that photo?
I'm not sure if I did, but I can.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be
Yeah, sure.
wonderful. Thank you. Go ahead. So
Yeah, yeah.
continue.
It's at the top of the carousel of by Bruce photos, and so lifelong love for Bruce. It's actually started with Southside, to be honest with you. My friends and I were really into Southside Johnny. It was in my freshman year, 75 at UMass, and I came back to my room, and my roommate was playing this album over and over again. I'm like, what is this? It's rock, but I don't recognize it. And I looked at the album cover, and it's a white guy in a leather jacket, and the other side is a black guy with a saxophone. And he said, just listen to it again and read the lyrics. And I did. And I was hooked. Of course, it was Born to Run 50 years ago, is when it came out. So we were Southside fans who became crazy Bruce fans. My friend group back at UMass. I then moved to California and just started to see Bruce coming through at the Forum and other venues, Sports Arena, of course, the Dump That Jumped. He loved that place. And other places that I could afford to get to. And when I became the official photographer of the Sports Arena and Coliseum in LA, of course he played the Born in the USA tour. It came through, I believe twice. It came through the LA Coliseum. The River Tour came through twice to the LA Sports Arena. I was credentialed to shoot. I didn't have to sneak a camera in. I was actually legitimate, and I produced some really fun and great pictures from that Tunnel of Love tour. I think it was I'm not sure if it was Tunnel of Love tour. It's one of those tours. Yeah, probably it was Tunnel of Love tour where they somehow or other I was able to get full access to the entire show.
Wow.
Usually, Jesse, I'm sure you've had the photographers on. We get three songs, and you have to shoot basically from the soundboard,
Wow.
which is like halfway or in the back of the GA area. Bruce was one of those bands that you could shoot up close because he didn't have an elaborate stage or anything. But after the third song, they'd kick you out. And it was a little disheartening because you knew the best was yet to come. There was so much more that was going to happen. But that particular tour, I was able to shoot the entire show. I had full reign of the arena. I'm behind the stage, and he turns around quite often and plays to that part of the stage, and
Yes.
photos that I never would have gotten otherwise. So it was amazing. And then really fast forward to let's see, well, it was 2016 when they decided that they were going to demolish the old LA Sports Arena
Mm.
and build a soccer stadium. And Bruce was the last act, the last live act to play in the old LA Sports Arena. And I was there for that. I was able to stick a camera, like very quietly, let's just say, in the
Hmm.
catwalk. I'll send you that one too.
Yeah.
And I got this amazing shot of him crowd surfing from the auxiliary stage to the main stage during Hungry Heart, which was great. And I'm also leaving out, I'm skipping around a little bit, but I'm leaving out when Staples Center opened in 99, I became the director of photography for Staples Center. And of course, Bruce opened the building with four shows. which was not his favorite venue. And as you remember, he railed on the corporate naming rights and where's Mr. Staples and all that stuff. It's funny now because every single arena and
Yes.
stadium has a naming. And I've just been a great fan. I have to say, I've been just like gazillions of other people, many of them been on your podcast like yourself.
Yeah.
I'm just a big fan. I love his music. I love how his music helped me through really difficult times in my life. My kids are really tired of his music, but they've gotten used to it because that's the first thing that comes on and the last thing they'll hear before they get dropped off for school or wherever they're going. I have a great friend named Chris Bodakin who I met when he was a ball boy for the Lakers. I think
Wow.
I think he was 16 and we became friends. I don't know about 10 or 12, 15 years older than Chris. And we became Bruce buddies. He and I have gone to we can't really count it because we don't know the exact number, but he and I have been to at least 50 shows together, probably more like 60. And I've been personally to 86 shows. I think it's a pretty good number. I'm trying to hit 100. He's got to bring the show home because we all want to see him at home and the messaging that he's doing. But Chris and I just literally came back what a month ago from Italy. I'm sorry, from Manchester, and we saw the third show. Chris saw the second show in Manchester and the third. I saw the third show, which was phenomenal. It was an arena show. It was in a beautiful arena called Co-op Live, which state of the art arena. The sound was just off the chart. And he was so energized. And of course, the British crowd really got behind his messaging about the destruction of our democracy and how he feels about it. And like I said, I hope he brings that message home. It's coming home, obviously, through you and me and all the fans who get to see it in social media, but it needs to be done on home turf. And he comes out both barrels blazing, and God bless him for doing it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What was your feelings? Mm, because it's the internet and everyone has their feel like sharing their thoughts. There's a lot of false information about how this has hurt him financially, and there's all this AI generated that he was booed off stage in America, concerts were canceled, which none of this is true.
Yeah.
I was immediately proud that he was speaking his mind. And I knew that this was the first live shows he's done since the second Trump administration. So I think he would have said these things if he had opened the tour in Tampa or, England where he started. So your thoughts on this, Andy?
I completely agree with you. I think that we are in a very critical moment in America. As I'm speaking to you, Jesse, that all hell is going to break loose in LA today.
Yeah,
And who knows what the future is going to hold. But Bruce has always spoken from the heart. Even when he would speak about his upbringing and his relationship with his
yeah,
dad and other social issues. And of course, every single concert, probably since he started, he is promoting a food bank, a local food bank. So he doesn't hold back. He was out there with Obama. He was out there when we needed him, quite frankly. And
yeah.
we need him now because his voice carries a lot of weight. And I think it carries a lot of weight because the guy in the White House actually paid attention
Yes, he
and
did.
felt like he had to say something, of course, completely untrue and insulting. But
Yeah,
the boss is a Jersey guy. Okay, let's not
right.
forget that for a second. I'm from Brooklyn. I was afraid of Jersey guys growing up. All right. So he's got a thick skin, to say the least. The guy has been through everything and anything in his 75 years on the planet.
Yeah,
No verbiage coming out of the White House is going to affect him. And if people are paying attention to that or giving it any credence of what the president is saying, they're not the people that he wants to really talk to.
no,
Uh, because they're that 35 or whatever percent that would literally follow this guy into a fire, a
yeah,
burning building. I think you and I can agree that we'll never change the mind of these insane MAGA Republicans.
no.
And I think that stands true for a lot of members of Congress as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But the average American, Democrat, Republican, Independent, doesn't matter. We care about our country. Okay.
Yes.
We care about our neighbors. I care about, I don't care who the person is. If they're the dishwasher in the restaurant I like to go to, or the guy who does the car wash, or my gardener, or when I go to a health facility, and whoever they are, who cares the job they're doing? They're here. They're Americans. They're helping us. They're building our country. They've built our country since we started. This country
Yeah.
was literally built on immigrants. And the narrative is being shoved down our throat by a person who really should not be in the position he's in. A lot of people are drinking the Kool-Aid, but I think more rational people are out there than we realize in America. And we've seen how the cities have risen up and risen up peacefully. I live in LA, Jesse. It was a one block, literally one square block radius of, I don't even want to call it a demonstration. It wasn't. It was like a peaceful protest with
Yeah.
a few knuckleheads, which you're going to get in anything. Look, you and I have seen championship celebrations from your Mavericks, and if you can remember that far back, your Cowboys,
Yeah.
and my Lakers and Dodgers, and there's going to be idiots who are looking for an opportunity
Yes.
to just bring in some chaos because
Yes.
they need attention. They're destructive by nature. They really could care less about what the cause is. They could care less it's a Dodger parade or a Laker parade.
Yeah.
They just want to burn a car.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a green light, these celebrations, because the attention is taken away, really. Law enforcement's attention is taken away to more like crowd control than actual policing.
Yeah.
LAPD is a great police force. They could have handled this demonstration, but Trump decided to throw gallons of gasoline on a tiny spark.
Yeah.
But and by sending the ICE agents in across LA, it was enough. The public said it's enough. We can't have this happening in our country, in our city. And we have a really strong governor. I don't care what people think of him politically. Is he super liberal? Is he this or that? He cares about his state. He cares about the Constitution. He cares about the safety of all his constituents here. And he will not back down to Trump.
And
We've
that's
seen
great.
that. And he'll take the arrows and he'll take whatever Trump throws at him. And Trump's henchman said the other day he's gonna arrest the governor and the mayor, and the governor's like, here I am,
Yeah.
come get me, whatever. Obviously, that didn't happen, and then we saw Trump back down on the whole raiding the farms and
Yes. He just announced that where because and one of the things, and we're going to get back to Bruce in a minute, but the a lot of people who wrap their support of this administration with this, they should come to this country the right way. And John Oliver a couple of years ago did a wonderful piece on how difficult and how messed up everything is in immigration, and that if you truly wanted to do this, that's where you would spend money and energy and thing to
Mhm.
streamline this, to get this.
Yeah,
And I hate to say this, and you guys, if you jump ahead for a couple of minutes, but it is some of these MAGNA supporters are not against immigration as long as it's white immigration. Just stand candidly.
of course.
It is. And
I
it
mean, look,
just is sad.
they just brought in all these immigrants, let's just say from South Africa.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, they're all white.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit of music. How do you think the band sounded? How did you like the set list? Tell me a little bit about the show.
I was super excited to finally see him again. It's been a while since we
Yeah.
saw him live, and the anticipation of it is always somewhat the best part because you're just counting the days off on the calendar. When I was
Yes.
an active photographer for the NBA. There were games on the calendar that came out. The schedule would come out in August for the following season,
Yeah.
and you'd circle the Celtics, and you'd circle when Detroit came in,
Yeah.
and of course the Bulls and everything else. This is the same thing. There was no chance in hell I was going to miss this show. Okay, I think last time you and I talked, I was all set to go to Milan in the last on the last leg, and I got COVID at like a week
Yes.
before. I had to cancel. It was like devastating. So to see him live on stage indoors, by the way, and nothing against stadium concerts, but not my favorite place to see him. Unless even if you're up close, it's you're still not really that close because this the
Right.
whole the whole front of the stage is bigger and the whole thing, and they're higher up in an arena, they're lower down this the stage. Anyway, Manchester was a great place. I'd never been to Manchester. I've been to London a few times, but Manchester was a nice little city. Got in there, my friend and I, my friend Bo and I, he had gone to the show before, and like any great wacky Bruce fans, we went to the hotel.
Yes.
Stand in the street. Two 60-year-old guys standing in the street waiting for Bruce to come out to go to the arena. We got a little tired of waiting, quite honestly, so we left. But the fans were welcoming and wonderful. And yeah, we were in the pit. And at this point, I got to be honest, Jesse, I'm not going to fight my way to be like on the rail or two or three from the
Yeah.
stage. I'm good being like back a little further where you have a little breathing room and you can actually see the whole band a little bit better.
Sure.
And so we picked a spot. It was a great spot. It was at stage left, and they have the railing for the little walkway between the stage and the permanent seating. And that's the walkway that he actually, when he goes up and does 10th Avenue or whatever, and on the auxiliaries, the smaller stage, he comes down that and then high fives people as he goes back to the main stage. We hung out there. I also had an ulterior motive because I knew that Tim Lywicki, who is the CEO of Oakview Group, who is the company that owns and manages the arena in Manchester,
Yeah.
who, by the way, helped me get tickets.
Oh,
Um,
good.
yeah, Tim and I go way back to the beginning of the beginning of Staples Center. He was the president of Staples Center and brought Bruce in as the first act. And Tim and I have stayed great friends. He and his daughter Francesca, who was like a teenager when I met her, now runs the company. And I had seen on social media that Tim was at the first two shows. So I was hoping he'd be at the third show so I could at least say hi at some moment, which I did, which was wonderful.
Nice.
And John Landau and whoever else was there. And I don't know if I ever told you this story, but Wayne LeBeau, who you might not know this name, but Wayne LeBeau is Bruce's sort of, I want to say, I don't know if he's like his chief of staff, but Wayne worked his way up from basically like a glorified roadie to a assistant tour manager to, I guess he's like right under tour manager.
Wow.
And this Bruce's personal assistant for years and years. Wayne also worked for Ringo and various others. But I know Wayne from his previous life. Well, Wayne was the equipment manager for the Celtics in the 80s.
How
How weird is this?
that is weird.
And when things changed at the Celtics and Wayne moved on, he went into music and has been in music since the late 80s. And we've stayed in touch. And my friend Bo, who worked in the locker room on the Lakers side, got to know Wayne really well, of course, from all the finals and games that they played against each other. So I always text Wayne, and he always comes out and just to say hi, how you guys doing? We never ask him for a favor.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I do. And of course, the photographers, Pam Springsteen was there shooting, and I've become friends with her. Rob DeMartin, his tour photographer. I was there with in a good spot to say hi to people, but also had
Yeah.
a great vantage point. So we get there. Obviously, we're there early and getting our spot. And it's all obviously mostly British crowd. And there's a guy in front of us, and his daughter's an adult, and it's obviously his daughter. And they're talking to some other people. And just like any Bruce concert, you're going to just jump in the conversation or you're going
Sure.
to whatever, or they're going to turn to you and say, hey, where are you guys from or whatever. And this guy's name is Gary Evans. And He's the nicest guy in the world. He's with his daughter. It was just such a beautiful moment. I ended up taking a photo of he and his daughter, which he put on his Instagram, and we're now lifelong friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
Through Bruce.
Yeah, and he's actually going to Milan, and I won't be able to go. Unfortunately, I have a conflict, but I think my friend Bo is going to go to Milan, so he'll have friends to party with when he gets there.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
you had asked, I don't want to short shrift your
yeah,
question because I talk a lot and you know that,
that's okay.
but the set list was off the chart. And I'm going to say this with a caveat because to not hear Backstreets, Rosalita, or Jungleland, the big three, and still say the set list was off the chart is pretty
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. So it was the open with No Surrender, which I absolutely love, which now absolutely has a whole other meaning that it's taken on. I thought it was great. I thought it flowed great. I thought he was in great voice. He was in tremendous energy. The band was great. I have to say, I missed a little bit of interplay with the band. I got to really love E Street Shuffle from the last leg
Yeah.
when Max and Anthony would do
Back and forth. Yeah,
the
that was
drum
fun.
thing, which was really fun. I love that. I have that on my playlist. But of course, the band. But here's a funny thing, and I wonder if Max is going to listen to this. Max is known for never missing a beat, right?
Yeah.
Never. And he missed the opening beat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If you listen to the show, Bruce says, "Hi, everybody," whatever he says. And then he goes, "Max," and nothing. And he turns and says, "Max." I had never seen that happen. That was
Oh, wow.
hilarious.
I will have to
Yeah.
listen to the show and hear. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, then he laughed. Of course, Bruce laughed, but it was if Max and have listened to his many interviews, he prides himself on 100% attention.
Yes.
And I bet he was kicking himself. He was kicking himself all night after that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about the new box set coming out at the end of this month?
We've heard dribs and drabs, right?
Yes.
I really like the songs I'm hearing. I'm hearing like all different genres and
Yeah.
did this guy like ever sleep? Seriously, they talk about like the dark years. They
Yeah.
weren't. Right? He was working all the time. And he's writing stuff. He talks. Heard some interview where he said that he spent most of COVID finishing these songs. I just can't believe the body of work that's going to be released, and I can't wait to hear it. It's got a hefty price tag, but you know what? It's worth it.
Yeah, that's what I've shared this story before, but my son, I was talking to him about this and he's a huge WWE fan.
Yeah, you
And
told me.
he was saying like basically you're telling me there's 7 house matches that are legendary that were never released and now then you get them. Yes, sign me up.
Yeah, so
And
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, this song "Blind Spot" has really hit me,
yeah,
and I listened to "Blind Spot" and then I listened to "Hungry Heart" back to back.
yes,
If you do that, and they're what 40 years apart, I think
yeah,
it's eerie. It really is
yeah,
that he is still dealing with some demons and parts of his personality. The songs are completely different musically, of course.
yeah,
The messaging, and if you or I had him for 5 minutes, that's probably the first question I'd ask him. That people talk about Western stars and how that's the end of the story for the Born to Run characters and all of
yeah,
that. They're sitting on the porch at the motel. But to me, Hungry Heart and Blind Spot, he's still dealing with some major demons and
yeah,
issues in his life, which we all are. But at
yeah.
your age, my age, and the messaging of that is that we just have to keep working on ourselves, honestly.
I
Um,
absolutely agree.
yeah.
I've been joking about how do you handle this as a podcast, and so I'm outsourcing. I
Mm,
have 7 different guests that have lined up to discuss an album each. And
great
so
idea.
that way that I can let them do a deep dive and I can just do this and try to cover it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm sure there's going to be songs where I go, eh. And then
Yeah.
there's going to be a couple of songs where I go, oh my goodness, this is something special.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah,
And it's always interesting I don't know about you, but what the first reaction to the new release is, the new album.
yeah,
Doesn't matter if it's Ghost of Tom Joad or if it's Wrecking Ball or whatever, like the new album, and it's going to have songs on there that are, you almost feel guilty when you're like, yeah, I don't know, yeah, I don't know, it's not sure I love that song. Or, but then you go back to it and you go back to it, and maybe it doesn't hit your top 10 or 20, but you respect the fact that he tried something or that there was something in the lyrics that worked. And maybe it's not a song you're going to put in your playlist, but I'm finding that E Street Radio is playing some of these songs on purpose from tracks, for example, that are
Yeah.
really obscure songs. And they're on tracks for a reason, the first tracks.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun summer of discovery of some new Bruce music. Who knew 50 years this guy's been releasing, 53 years or four
Yeah.
years that he's been releasing albums, that he's got all this left in the tank. Crazy.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Since you've done so much photography over the year, have you thought about a Bruce book?
And very interesting that you say that, Jesse. I am going to be part of a group exhibition here in South Pasadena, where my office is, where I'm broadcasting live from today.
Yes.
I'm part of the South Pasadena Arts Council, which is a group of volunteer residents who believe in the arts and want to help illuminate the arts in our community. It's a small kind of Mayberry kind of town here in the middle of Los Angeles. And my good friend on the board, Blue Tremarky, he's tasked with putting together gallery shows at a small gallery that we have in town. And it could be anything from sculpture to painting. We have all different kinds of spoken word, improv, whatever it is. And Blue, of course, he's a musician, big Bruce fan. He knows about me and a few other friends of mine who have photographed Bruce over the years. So he put together a Bruce Springsteen group photo exhibit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which I'll send you. I think it's in August or September.
Okay.
And it'll run, there'll be an opening and it'll run for a month. And it'll give all of us, there's three or four of us, they're all good friends of mine, an opportunity to at least display. I could care less if somebody buys a print or not, but
Yeah.
display my work. And God willing, I'll talk to Danny Clinch and see maybe Danny would send a print my way for this. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So, in terms of a book, I have not thought about doing a book. Honestly, Jesse, if I was going to do a book of my Bruce photography, I'd want him to be involved,
Yeah.
like I did with Kobe.
Yeah.
I have a book coming out with Vanessa Bryant of all the murals all over the world that she has handpicked to be photographed. And I don't really want to do something quote unquote unauthorized, even though it's would be a nice coffee
Sure.
table photo book, but I'm selfish and I would love to have his
Absolutely.
input.
Yeah.
And the chance of that happening is almost as the chance of me playing center for the Lakers next year.
Yeah.
But we'll see. You never know.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
Any other things we need to talk about before I let you go?
Oh, you've always been very kind to let me promo my podcast, which is called
Absolutely.
Legends of Sport. We are actually finishing our seventh season, which I can't believe,
That
of
is
the
awesome.
podcast. Yeah, so it's about 260 episodes. Our last two episodes will be a tribute to the NBA bubble, which actually was 5 years ago, believe it or not, in 2020, and opened on July 1st, 2020. I was there for 53 days. So I'm in the middle of interviewing five or six friends and colleagues who were also in the bubble, a player, and we're going to release that in a two-part episode, which is great. And then we take the summer off from releasing episodes, but we're recording episodes all summer, and we'll come back out again at the end of August. So we go to the NBA Summer League, bring the podcast there. We go to Hall of Fame festivities in early September. We do interviews there, and then we're off and running. Hopefully, at one of the international NBA events. They're doing two, one in Macau and one in Abu Dhabi, actually. A lot of good things happening there. Other projects I'm working on with my Legends of Sport platform. And just always great to see you, Jesse, and
Oh, thanks.
to follow you and comment once in a while on stuff you post. And I hope you're feeling well. I hope health is
I
good.
am. It
Good.
is good. Speaking of, I September will be the 10th anniversary of the podcast.
God bless you. I'm knocking
Thank
on
you.
wood right here, man. That's
Yeah.
great.
And
Yeah.
I'll cut this out, but anyone you want to send my way
Yeah.
as a special guest, let me know.
Yeah, they're
So if you got
yeah.
any connections or anyone that would want to do, I'm looking forward to celebrating. I am excited.
Mm,
Flynn McLean, who also does this Springsteen podcast, and I, along with Ed Ruskowski, submitted a idea for a panel
yes.
at the Born to Run symposium coming up, and
Mm.
we were accepted.
No
So,
way.
yeah,
Great.
so on Sunday, I and Flynn will be interviewed by Ed about what it is, like the ins and outs of doing a Springsteen podcast and
That's
talking
so
about the
great.
story.
Wh-
So, I
when is that symposium happening? Is
it is
next
the
week?
weekend after Labor Day. That's September. I'll have to look.
It's got to be
Uh,
that's September 6th and 7th.
yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so I'm very thrilled that, yeah,
Mhm.
it is on the 6th and 7th. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting to do that and see that. So that should be
Oh,
fun.
that's it's so amazing. It's September 6th is the Basketball Hall of Fame enshrinement, which
Yeah.
I'm on a committee and I have to be there. And then the 7th, stay in touch because if you're
Okay.
doing your thing on the 7th, I'm going to be in Springfield, Massachusetts. It's like a 5-hour drive. On the 7th, I was actually going to New York to visit two of my daughters, but believe it or not, having a dinner with my high school friends. It's our 50th high school reunion, like happening now. We
Wow.
graduated in June of 75, and we weren't going to do like a blowout big reunion
Yeah.
because people my age just won't do that. But about a dozen or 20 of us are going to get together at a restaurant in the city. And I would be honest with you, I would probably blow that off to come see you at the symposium, but that would be
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Thanks. That sounds good. I appreciate, as always, your time. It's always love catching up. And one last basketball question.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City looks pretty good, don't they?
You and I are talking after game 4, which
Yes, it's tied up.
I watched with a couple of friends.
Yeah,
When this comes out, I think the series might possibly be over, but maybe
it will
not.
be. Yeah.
But every game has been a surprise.
Yeah, it has
Like,
been.
and for OKC to go in, Indiana was up like the entire game until
Yeah.
3 minutes or 2 minutes ago, and Shea took over, which is amazing. I'm curious to see what happens in the rest of the series, honestly. So we'll see.
Yeah,
But
I think so too. It's going to be really interesting. I'm glad that it's been competitive.
yeah.
And I'm excited that I would love to get back where that 35 corridor of Oklahoma City, Dallas, and San Antonio
Hmm.
all being good and having that pushing each other would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, stay tuned for that, my friend, because the latest rumor I heard last night
Yeah.
was San Antonio is like it's got the dibs on getting Kevin Durant. That took me by surprise.
Wow, that would
That,
be
K- that
interesting.
that apparently KD wants to play with Wemby, and
Yeah.
just like Chris Paul did last year. But
Yeah,
he, not to say that he's going to be the missing link, but that really ratchets up that organization because I
it
would love
does.
to see San Antonio become really good again. Obviously,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
All right, go ahead. Once again, plug the podcast, plug where people can find you.
yeah. So podcast is called Legends of Sport. Really simple on Instagram. It's at Legends of Sport. My photography can be found on Instagram at ADB Photo Inc. And the podcast can be found very easily on any podcast platform. We're hosted by iHeart, but you can find it on any platform. And we really love when people go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Legends of Sport. That really helps us out across the board because a lot of people prefer to see podcasts now. We put the full podcast out as well as reels. Yeah, thank you, Jesse, for always being so supportive. And I love pumping your podcast as well. We're kindred spirits when it comes to the podcasting world.
That sounds perfect. All right, travel safe, Andy. Be careful out there in Los Angeles.
Yeah, you as well,
Um,
my friend. You
and
as
we will talk soon. Okay?
Yes. And as Bruce would say, keep doing the righteous work. Yeah,
Amen.
there you
Amen.
go. All right,
All right.
man. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jesse. Let me know.
listen.
Let me know when
Yeah,
it comes out.
I
And
will.
yeah, of course.
Listeners, thank you for listening. Check out the website, check out the podcast, and be safe, be kind, and we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Setlist and Bruce. I hope you enjoyed it, and I also hope you check out other episodes of the podcast. I'm going to go through some housekeeping items here on how to contact me and some of my other projects, so please hang around. I'm still on Twitter, aka X, at Jesse Jackson DFW. The show is also on Twitter at Setlusting Bruce. I and the show have a Facebook page. Please go there and like us. I'm part of a few other podcasts. On Perfectly Good Podcast, me and my co host Sylvan are talking about every John Hyatt song in alphabetical order. Set Lusting Bruce and Perfectly Good Podcast are part of the Pantheon Podcast Network, where we have hundreds of shows dedicated to music. Please check them out. My good friend Charles and I continue to talk all things Doctor Who on Next Stop Everywhere. Lou, Karen, and I talk about pulp culture topics on the JKL Media Podcast. I would love to hear your feedback. Please send me an email to setlustingbruce@gmail.com. You can leave a voicemail, 469-249-2442. Go to iTunes to rate and review any of the podcasts I'm on, and we will read them on the show. Please tell me what you like, tell me what you dislike. Hook me up with someone you think would be a great guest. Getting to talk to people about their experiences, whether it be music or other creative endeavors, is my passion. And I hope these conversations bring you a little joy, a little peace, and a whole lot of love. Keep hope alive.
There's a joke here somewhere, it's on me. Shake this world off my shoulders. Come on, baby, have a laugh on me.